Last time, during Underdunk 60, we held our second straight Groudon tournament. With the new meta starting to solidify, 19 teams were amped up to be the next champion of Underdunk. With the reigning champions, Project Mbappe, leading the charge, everyone was on high alert to try to take them down. In Winners Round 1, we saw MQL's score comp take on House Sect. While we thought we'd see some heavy tempo, lots of back caps, and maybe some Sableye Dodrio play, we saw everything but that. MQL's team said no score comp, but they did get off to an extremely fast start in game number 1. Off the back of the Zoroark Comfey combo, they won paths early on and were even able to take that first Regidrago, including a 3 KO from Comfey itself. This propelled them to a big score lead, which they carried through the endgame. However, once Groudon hit the map, it was a different story. Off the back of some incredible Unite move combinations, House Sect turned the tide and got a full team wipe of the MQL score comp team to win game 1. In game 2, MQL's score comp was determined to get off to another quick start, this time off the back of Absol. They faced a bit of pushback from House Sect, who was able to grab some early team fight wins, but MQL was able to grab significant, nearly 200-point lead going into the Groudon fight. However, they indeed did not look back and won a large team fight and secured game number 2 handily. Game number 3, it was a seesaw battle, very, very close throughout. Nearing the final stretch, MQL's score comp was up over 100 points. House Sect, though, they won a big team fight, but it was MQL living on 1 HP in a dream, finding a couple big KOs before peeling back to get healed by Blissey. But that's all they needed with that lead, a great stall tactic and goal zone integrity to keep MQL in the winner's bracket. In winners round number 2, the crowd favorites Ignorance returned to Grassroots with their quirky compositions, wild and free playstyle, and the ever-interesting support picks. In game number 1, they grabbed the support Darkrai along with Flail Snorlax and really started to run away with the game pretty early. Once Groudon appeared at the final stretch, it was Ignorance once again pulling ahead, finding great engages off that Snorlax, Miraidon, and Charizard, winning the fight and taking game 1. In game 2, it was much of the same for Ignorance. Getting off to a quick start off the back of Buzzwole and Delphox, MA knew that they would be the underdogs in this match, and nearing the final stretch, it was all Ignorance. Nearly a 200-point lead, and all they had to do was hold on to Groudon. Regieleki eventually walked into a tier 2, and that gave them an even larger lead of over 300 points. With one final shot, M8 saw an opening and took it. However, it was Ignorance once again standing tall, comboing their Unite moves, and wiping M8 down to the lower bracket. In the winners quarterfinals, Broke and Chopped took on I'm 'Bout to Blush. Broken Chopped was looking anything but chopped early on in game number 1, winning team fight after team fight, and just past the halfway point in the game, they had a massive lead and even was able to push a T2 goal zone. Groudon hit the Theosky Ruins, Broke and Chopped got caught out early, but Buzzwole found an unofficial Penta KO to help secure the win in game 1, despite a magical Comfey steal of Groudon. However, in game number 2, Broke and Chopped once again got off to a great lead and didn't look back. At the final stretch, they were up by 300 points once again and earned themselves a Reg Ice buff. I'm 'Bout to Blush put up a great effort, but the levels were too high on Broke and Chopped. Great engages from Scarf on the Garchomp and a perfect snipe shot from Egg to ensure Groudon was theirs. It enabled them to move forward on to the winner's next round. In the winners semis, we saw a high intensity matchup between Broke and Chopped along with Ignorance. This series did not disappoint. In game number 1, it was a back and forth battle between Scarf's Serena and Protein Shake's Charizard. However, no Groudon was found, and Broke and Chopped held onto their T1 on the bottom side for an ever-exciting final defensive stand to win game number 1. And with their backs up against the wall, Ignorance was up for the challenge, as they always are. 4 points separated these two teams at the final stretch. Broke and Chopped drew first blood, but Ignorance punched right back and it was a 3v3 for Groudon. But with the main damage dealers and secure tools off the map, Ignorance made the fantastic push and secured Groudon to propel them to a Game 2 victory. In the decisive game number 3, once again, teams were very evenly matched throughout, with Ignorance holding on to a small lead going into Groudon. Just as the first 8 minutes went, the first minute of the final stretch was back and forth, both teams trading KOs. Being down in points though, Broken Chomp had to push their advantage to try to take Groudon off the map. Ignorance though was able to secure with a Fly Flame Charge combo from Talonflame, which sent them to the winners finals to take on the defending champions, Project Mbappe. In the winners finals, 2 Titans faced off, and it was quite a series. To a shock of a lot of the community, Project Mbappe was down in points going into the final stretch of game number 1. Both teams traded early KOs, but it was Kratos' Dodrio that was too much to handle for Ignorance. Mbappe won a team fight and scored just barely enough to give them the lead, and they held on for that game 1 victory. In game number 2, it was pretty much all Project Mbappe throughout. Ignorance, however, was able to find wins here and there, but Mbappe had a lead going into Groudon in both points and in the level game. But it was a hands in the cookie jar moment for Mbappe. Urshifu gets caught out by an excellent ambush from Ignorance, and with a massive KO timer for them, Ignorance knew that they had to push. And push they did, finding a way to wipe Mbappe and earn themselves a game 3. In game number 3, Mbappe had another large lead at Groudon, and this time it was way too much to handle. With Kratos holding on to the team fight and capping the final points needed, it was Project Mbappe going to the grand finals for a second straight tournament. In the lower finals, I'm About to Blush made a great lower bracket run, taking down Turtle Time, M8, and Machichi's Litterbox. What a great name. Along with W Speed. However, their time was up when they ran into a brick wall that was Ignorance. At the halfway mark of the 1-game series, they were getting shut out and it was not looking good. I'm About to Blush though, during Groudon was able to find a massive Groudon secure, but at that point it was too late and the score lead for Ignorance was suffocating. It was Ignorance looking for a rematch and earning it against Project Mbappe. In the grand finals, Project Mbappe came in with a 1-0 advantage for this best of 3. In the first game, Ignorance held their own for a majority of the match. But one of the biggest plays of the match and maybe the night was Ducky stealing a basement Regieleki, which may have been the momentum and all of the momentum that Project Mbappe needed. Lucky not only was captured, but it was able to walk all the way into Ignorance's T2 goal zone, giving Project Mbappe the insulation they needed to go into the Groudon with a lead. Despite a Registeel buff for Ignorance, the Groudon fight went to Project Mbappe, and with multiple members down, they ripped Groudon and ensured victory for their second straight Underdunk crown. Well, trainers, who will win this week's Underdunk? Will anyone dethrone Project Mbappe? Stay tuned and find out.